Welcome into the Week 5 Start Sit Show here with IDP Plus. As always, I'm here with Ricky Rodrigue, Shawn, our beloved Shawn Teague, Shawn Aston, as he's going by today, and myself, Michael Sicoli. You can follow all of us at RickyRod66, Ricky at Shawn8386 for Shawn, and myself at Michael_Sicoli. But for now, we're talking about start sits. We are here to help you win your Week 5 matchups. We have already a couple questions in from people like our beloved Fantasy Breakout, who's here every week, and they already dropped a few in there before the show. But continue to drop those questions in. Offense, defense, we're here to help you win your matchups. Any of those tough decisions, we're here to help for the next hour. So, guys, how are you doing today? Ricky, you got a special shirt on, I know.
I do, thank you. So in one of my redraft leagues a couple of years ago that I'd won 2 years in a row, I said, guys, if I win 3 years in a row, you have to buy me one of these shirts. And I won it a third year in a row, so they bought me the Fantasy Football GOAT T-shirt here. So I figured this would be. I'm feeling good this week, so I figured it'd be a good week to wear that one for some good luck today.
See, it not many fancy football star sit shows have the certified GOAT on it. So that is a huge plus to our amazing listeners out there who will be tuning in to listen to the GOAT and just us two schmucks, right, Shawn?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No goats on this side of the screen.
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
have a
no.
lot of experience behind this gray hair, folks. So.
Not all of it good.
That is true. But I've never been arrested, at least I can say, Shawn.
Oh, you got me.
All right. Well, arrest records aside, uh, let's. We got a few
we
questions.
don't background check here. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll keep them coming on in. So keep on sending in those questions. We're going to get to them in just a little bit. Before we do that, let's take a second to talk about the first half of this Jets-Vikings game so far. Andrew Van Ginkel. We were saying it before, 60-yard pick six. He's been very productive over the first month of the season. Is this something that you guys expect to stick throughout the rest of the way? We know Brian Flores has this connection with AVG from Miami. He brought him back in. He's playing such a prominent role.
Yeah, I expect this to keep going. He is definitely Flores's guy, and he was their best free agent, clearly coming in. Greenard has done okay, but it's been Gingle. It's interceptions, it's sacks, it's fumbles. I mean, he does it all, and he's still overlooked. I picked him up in a league today.
Oh, wow.
Or yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday I picked him up. He was still sitting out there on waivers, and just for whatever reason keeps going unlooked. He should not be on anybody's waivers. This guy is balling out with big plays every week.
With a name like Andrew Van Ginkel, it sounds like he should be the president of the math club or the chess team or something along those lines.
Maybe he is.
Maybe he is also.
Lives.
But he has, I heard on the broadcast, he has 6 career interceptions, of which he's now returned 3 of them for touchdowns. So it's pretty impressive. Well, now the Vikings defense, we were talking a little bit about before the show, has just been absolutely phenomenal. We were discussing before the show, is Aaron Rodgers washed up or is it the Vikings defense? And might be a little bit of both, but that Vikings defense is something else. The one thing I'm only disappointed with the Vikings defense is the Cam Bynums and Josh Metellus are not putting up the stats they put up last year. Now, Bynum got a first half pick. That'll certainly help him, but particularly for big play scoring. But they haven't racked up the tackles and all like they did last year.
I think Van Ginkel's part of that because last year it was just Daniil Hunter was the main guy going off up front, and so those guys were coming in making the plays. I feel like Van Ginkel probably took over some of Josh Metellus's plays where he would be maybe. But I mean, when they're doing that good up front, Metellus was playing him near the line of scrimmage, so teams are getting behind. They're having to pass more, so they can stay away from him. But yeah, it's definitely hurt his production this year.
It's also interesting because if we remember last year, the talk was all about Ivan Pace and whether that linebacker 2 role was going to be enough. And for a while, he was the only time we could trust him was when he was ridiculously efficient on 40% snaps. I think we're seeing Brian Flores incorporate 2 linebackers into that middle of the field a little bit more with Pace and and Cashman at a higher rate than we saw last year. I'd have to check the numbers on that, but good to see a few people in the chat dropping questions. Hey to Mike Bosk, hey to Jackson Pollock. Let's jump in with our first question and from Fantasy Breakout here. Came in early this morning. Hey guys, kicking off things once again. He's got Will Anderson in the defensive line spot, but he's afraid of the matchup. Should he pick up Greg Rousseau? I assume that's Dexter Lawrence because DeMarcus Lawrence is out. A Seahawks defensive lineman or Zach Allen. I actually like Zach Allen quite a lot against the Raiders this week. I almost picked him up and played him over Josh Allen. Very, very close because Josh Hines Allen has been a little bit disappointing so far. But ultimately decided to stick off of him. What do you think, Ricky?
I'm with you on this Zach Allen. I think he played 100% of the snaps or 99% of the snaps last week. They're using him a significant amount, and he's been extremely productive. And he is a hustling machine. If you watch those games, which on the red zone, you get some of these late games, you can see a little bit more of it in the later window. And he is just all over the field hustling. I really like Zach Allen. The Seahawks injuries, so many of them, so many are going to come back, maybe not at 100%. I'd want to wait a week there. So Zach Allen is my recommendation here too over Will Anderson for this week.
What do you think, Shawn?
I'm right there with you guys. Russo has done nothing since week 1.
He tricked me again, man. Every
year.
Yeah,
he's a trap every year. He's not the Marcus Davenport trap, but
we're past that now.
Still, we're finally over that.
We are done with the Marcus Davenport experiment. Oh my goodness, we are so done with that.
And as a Saints fan, even more difficult to kind of get over that one. I don't know of anybody who's ever paid so much to be so injured.
Quite a trade-off that was. I won't forget. But yeah, I mean, I'm benching Danielle Hunter in a few spots because this Houston defensive line hasn't been as productive as we wanted to. The tackle floor has been non-existent, really. So Zach Allen's been someone who's always been kind of a steady tackler from last year with Denver, which he wasn't getting the extra stats, so we didn't care. And with Arizona, he had a very good year that last season before he earned himself his payday. So against the Raiders this week, with Alexander Mattison probably taking 16 carries up the middle for 20 yards, it's a pretty good matchup. Good chances to get a few TFLs in there as well. So I think it's okay to pivot to one of those guys, and we all seem to agree. And we are in the chat as well. Good to see ourselves. IDP Plus. Hello, friends. Good to see Nate, probably.
Hello, Nate.
Yeah. Joseph Winkler, good to see you join the chat. Rafael Pulido, good to see you as well. We'll begin those questions in just a second. We got another question from Fantasy Breakout here. Terrell Bernard got dropped, and CJ Mosley is on waivers due to his injury. Should he continue running with EJ Speed, and what is your outlook / ranking for these rest of season? I think we probably all agree that EJ Speed is the lock this week. You keep riding that hot hand of, especially in a very good matchup as well. But what do you guys think about the rest of the season look for all three of these guys, Ricky?
So I'm a big EJ Speed fan, and Bernard, while productive when active, he got injured last year. He got injured this year. And so from a rest of season perspective, I'd rather bank on Speed over Bernard from that regard, just because of the injury risk. Mosley, being in his mid-30s basically, would be last on this list because I worried going into the year I didn't draft him in any leagues because of that age. Of course, now he's got the foot and toe injury he's been dealing with. And the fact it's been 3 weeks, it just feels like that's something going to linger. And a foot injury on a linebacker is something I don't think I want to mess with. So my order is Speed, Bernard, Mosley.
I agree with that. Shawn, do you, though?
Mosley is definitely the odd man out here. I'm with Ricky. I've stayed away from him this year as well. This foot toe thing feels like a Michael Thomas situation where he's just going to sit out for a few weeks and then finally go on IR. I really like Bernard just because of his production. So if you could find a way to get Bernard and Speed on here on the same team, I would shoot for that. Because I do like how productive he is.
He's a machine.
Yeah, for sure. And Speed, he's solid. I mean, he's been really good. A lot of us thought he would outproduced Franklin this year. And I mean, he's right there where we expected him. So, yeah, if you could find a way to get Bernard on here as well, that's what I would be trying to do.
Completely agree. And I think we'd have CJ Mosley last here, even if
Absolutely.
he was healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Shawn hit where I was going to circle back, which is absolutely, if you can get Bernard on your bench also, I don't know what other options you are, Fantasy Breakout. If you're still on, just drop us a note if there's other people you could drop to potentially pick up Bernard. Love to see your options there. We'll give you some advice on that as well.
For sure, yeah. DJ Speed with a 10.5 tackle line this week on DraftKings with one more than Zaire Franklin. Just for fun facts right there this morning. Let's go to Mike Bosk here asking about, and I expect we get a few questions about this today. Trevin Wallace, the rookie linebacker in Carolina, now with Josie Jewell out, is expected to make a start. Is it safe to start him and Terrell Bernard in his first game back from that injury? Terrell Bernard for sure. I think that's someone that we know when he's back, he's going to be back and he'll take that rollover, and they've missed him. So I feel fine about Terrell Bernard. But do you guys agree with that before we touch on Trevon?
I am get Spectre out of your lineups as long as Bernard is active, which he's expected to be.
Yep. So Trevin Wallace, how confident are you, Shawn, in the rookie stepping in for an injured Shaq Thompson, and I mean he pretty much has to play in every down role. They're out of guys in week 5.
I'm hearing talks of rotations here. So unless I'm in a very deep league, I'm probably staying away from this right now. It's fine to have him on your team, but to actually start him, I'm a little worried right now until I can actually see what kind of production we're going to get or how much usage, I guess, is what I'd really want to see here. Like I say, deep leagues where it start 4 to 6 linebackers, I'm probably throwing him in just out of necessity. But yeah, if you're in a shallow league and have a better option for certain option, I would start them over Wallace right now.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Mike asked the question, is it safe? No, it's not safe to start Trevin Wallace. That is the answer. By the way, I'm amazed how much Shawn and I are agreeing this morning. The planetary universe must be aligning or something. Shawn and I agree so much today.
I probably have a fever. That's what it is.
Yeah, that could very well could be the case. You might have COVID. But Trevin Wallace, not very safe to start. And boy, the safest thing to start right now is the Bears, because they play in the Panthers this week. So the Bears offense would be the safest thing to start. Just Wallace is a rookie. That the little bit he was playing on non-passing downs. Could see him coming off the field and passing downs. This is just not a good recipe. I'd probably have Wallace on my bench.
I have a little bit more confidence in Wallace this week. They've been ramping him up for the last month. His snaps have been gradually increasing. But I completely agree that when we ask about safety, no, it's not safe to play somebody that is going to be playing his, no matter what happens today, Wallace will be playing probably a career high in snaps. We don't know whether that means it's going to be 100% or whether that means it's going to be 70% or 60%. And the difference of that is the difference of a start and the difference of a dud. So it's definitely not safe. But with the injuries there and what they drafted him to be and what they've been working him into even before the injuries, I think Wallace is going to have a healthy snap count. I'm a little bit more high on him than you guys are. But I definitely agree that, if he's not someone that we profile to be an immediate impact player in coverage. And that could take him off the play in key situations. So
he's real raw coming out of college too. He wasn't a very polished linebacker to begin with.
Yeah, very much an athletic guy that they were hoping to evolve into a more well-rounded player was kind of the prospect talk.
In 5 years, we'll be comparing him to either Landon Roberts or Denzel Perryman.
I don't mind that. I could see it. I think he could be better than Orlando Roberts, which no disrespect to Orlando Roberts, very qualified linebacker, but I don't know. We'll see. Good things to come back to. Jackson Pollock asking, starting 3 flex. And the second part of the question is he's Zaire Franklin and Fred Warner. He needs to pick one more, and we could also sub any of these out. Ventrell, Kazir White, Dorian Williams. I like Ventrell. I'm totally blank on his full name. Someone
Miller.
help me. Miller, thank you. Ventrell Miller from Jacksonville. I like him a lot this week. I believe we have Devin Lloyd out once again, right?
Actually, Devin Lloyd got upgraded to limited practice and is listed as questionable now.
Oh boy, that's fun.
And the thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. Hit me.
Well, and the thing that was happening with the Jacksonville linebackers, they were rotating all 4 linebackers, as we've talked about in the past couple of weeks. Now it was down to only having 2 last week. Now they're back to 3. If Lloyd is active with a knee problem, I don't see him playing a full complement of snaps, which means I also don't see Miller and Muma playing a full complement of snaps. Just that rotation alone has me leaning away from Ventrell. Right now, Kaiser White to me is like from a production perspective is in your top 12 depending on your scoring systems. So I think I'm running with Kaiser White on this one, folks.
It's very definitely the highest floor of this bunch by far. Shawn, do you agree?
Are we sure that Warner is playing? Did he ever end up practicing?
I saw a report late last night that Ian Rapport said that he is expected to play.
Okay.
I still don't love him this week, honestly, but with these other options, I'm not willing to take him out for it.
Right. Yeah, Kaiser White's, if, for sure Warner's playing, Zaire's playing, Kaiser White's I think the easy one here. Dorian Williams has been pretty solid, but he doesn't get the full snap share. Kaiser White's going to be on the field. I like his matchup better than the others. Even Ventrell Miller going against the Colts, they haven't been very kind to linebackers, and now Jonathan Taylor's out too, so that could mean a lot more passing. We're probably looking at Flacco getting the start also. So Miller's unsafe, I would say, outside of deep leagues. Kaiser White, yeah, definitely the third guy here.
Yeah, Miller would be last on the list for me on this one.
Right.
Yeah, I might have Dorian the last one and I like Dorian Williams, but just the last one of this bunch. Because I do like Ventrell Miller has been an incredibly efficient tackler, so I'm okay riding that hot hand. But Kazir White's my pick as this linebacker 3 option here. Rafael Polito asking Derek Hall or Byron Young. I've been a little bit disappointed in Byron Young at the start of the season. I don't know what I expected because he's been as good as I reasonably could expect, but I haven't felt like I could trust him in a single week so far, and I have not picked the right week to start him so far. But what do you guys think with these duo here? Derek Hall has been surprisingly productive.
He's played the Giants, and the Giants are awful on the offensive line. So I will take the chance of him getting a sack or 2 over Byron Young breaking through the Packers O-line.
Yeah, I was just doing a quick check on the Seahawks because I had to remind myself. So at this point, only Byron Murphy II has been officially ruled out. All the others that had been out, Leonard Williams, Nwosu, and there's one more Mafe, thank you. All were limited and are questionable right now. So that means at least a couple of those are back. Even with all that, I'm going with Derek Hall over Byron Young. He looks like a beast right now. He's put on some weight. I remember him at Auburn being quite the player and all, and thinking, boy, this guy's got a future. I think year 2 he's doing well, and even with all these guys limited, I think he'll still get enough snaps to be productive. There's no Aaron Donald in the middle of the Rams defense to Braden Fisk is no Aaron Donald. Sorry, folks, and so that's Byron Young is not getting all the freer one-on-one opportunities. So I'm going with Derek Hall on this one.
And Jared Verse has outplayed Byron Young through 4 weeks as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's been I loved Verse's prospect. Like literally the only downside, the only red flag I had on him was age, and those things I don't really worry about when I love everything else about his game. He just does everything well. The pressure count shows it, and we're gonna be talking about Jared Verse as a IDP starter for years to come once those QB hits and everything starts translating to more stats on the page.
And Versus has a high missed tackle rate too. So if he cleans that up a little bit more, even more productivity. So I'm with you on Verse.
Exactly. Good to see. Yep. No problem to Mike, Raphael, and Jackson. Always good to have the questions. Feel free to hit us with more if you have more coming in. Nate saying Ricky's had a few too many Diet Cokes this morning. We started this show by joking, or before the show, we were joking about me not getting my morning coffee. Now we're talking about Ricky having too many Diet Cokes. With the beverage game, what is your morning beverage, Shawn? I feel like we need to ask that now.
It's usually water.
Water. Okay, so we got a trifecta here. You're probably the best of all three of us here. Ricky, what do you got for us?
Nathan is assuming it's Diet Coke in here, and nobody needs to know what's in the Yeti.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We are an R-rated show.
Yeah.
Joseph Winkler asking in a question here. Is Jerome Baker a good start this week? Man, has he disappointed me so far, but largely due to injury. Or can he pick up Dennis Gardeck or David Long? David Long has been everything he says he should be good. The usage is fantastic. We know he can be efficient. It's the Patriots. I don't know how I feel about that, but what do you guys think of this this trio here? Who would you pick?
I am leaning towards David Long here. It's not super confident, and it's not by a wide margin. Jerome Baker's right there with him. I'm kind of staying away from Gardeck right now. I think I like David Long going against the Patriots more so than Baker, because I do think Dotson is the main guy there who kind of runs the show. So I could see him kind of get pushed out a bit. And I expect the Dolphins to be on the field a lot.
Yeah.
This is actually interesting. I think I'd go with David Long as well. I don't love any of these. So when you think about the Giants with Singletary supposedly out and Neighbors out as well, I don't, it could be the Giants' offense of last year, which was really
Could
bad.
be worse. Could be worse.
Yeah, could be worse. Exactly, because there's no Barkley in the backfield.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's no Singletary either.
Yeah, and so are they really going to give the ball to Tyrone Tracy or Eric Gray 20 times to create
They
some of those easy
have to.
inside linebacker tackles? Now I see about if anything, Tyrone Tracy will catch 4 balls on the edge for like 13 yards or something like that, and I don't necessarily see the inside linebackers getting out there to do it. So I'm out on Baker. Gardeck being the edge guy versus I'd rather take my chance with Miami going against New England, who I think they're going to try and establish the run because they certainly can't pass. I saw an article in PFF that of the 65 offensive tackles rated, the 4 tackles that have played for New England are all between 67 or rated between 61 and 66. It's that bad. So you think they got to try and run the ball, which will hopefully create opportunities for Long. Don't love any of them, but Long is my one out of that 3.
And that's why Drake Bay is not starting quite yet, because of said offensive tackles and said offensive weapons and all of that. I agree. I think this could easily be a week where we see this Seattle defense only play 52 snaps or something like that. And then you're asking Baker to be incredibly efficient, something he's never really been in his career and hasn't been so far. So not really willing to do that. I agree. I'll go David Long. Although I'm curious if there might be a sneaky option on the wire that might be better. So feel free to hit us up, Joseph, if you got any other options that you're considering on the wire that you might want to talk about.
Would you guys start Trevin Wallace over these guys?
I'd probably play Trevin Wallace over Baker and Gardeck. I still would play David Long.
I agree with that too.
All right.
I love the throwing out there. That's how we connect these questions. Well done, Sean. Fancy Breakout. Asking another one here, and I smiled as soon as I saw this question come in the chat, so thank you, because I love this stuff. Nasty O to an nth degree here. Another tight end question. Evan Ingram out. That leaves him with Brenton Strange, Juwan Johnson, Eric All, or Mike Gesicki. Woo! We're back. We are so back. I'll go Eric All here.
Sorry, I have the Nasty Boys song playing in my head right now.
Good. Go sing it for us, man.
No, you don't want me singing. At least not today. So I guess that validates I do have Diet Coke in my, because I won't sing. If it wasn't Diet Coke, I'd probably be singing right now.
There we go.
We got him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go Eric All here. This is the guy that we've been seeing trend up. They've been incorporating the offense more. It's a good good matchup against the Ravens, surprisingly, that has been very susceptible to the tight end so far this season. So I'll go, I mean, relatively to a very down year for yards allowed to tight end in general, but I'll go Eric All here. Maybe he gets in the end zone. I do not want to play Brenton Strange, and Juwan Johnson is a 0 or an 8-point game. And I think Eric All can at least get me 3 catches for 40 for 30 yards.
I'm with you too. I mean, Juwan Johnson really hasn't been targeted that much. He got a touchdown one week, which kind of made his stats look a little bit better. They haven't been other than the first week when they targeted Morrow quite a bit, and I went and spent fab money to grab Morrow, and that hasn't exactly worked out since. He has 1 target, I think, since week 1. So the Saints just surprisingly in this Shanahan type of offense have not been targeting the tight ends. I'm not going to trust Strange. Eric All, I think, has had 4 catches each of the last 2 weeks, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm going with Eric All on this one.
I'm rather with you guys. There's not much more I can add to that. Johnson's done nothing.
Yeah.
Strange could probably actually have a better week than he's had so far this week. But yeah, let's trust the Bengals this week.
Yeah.
And on another,
it's not very good. So maybe Strange, but still
going. And on another third and short, the Jets went for it, and Breece Hall was tackled for a loss by Ivan Pace. So Breece Hall is up to 6 carries for 7 yards with a long of 7. Almost the Bo Nix passing line from last week.
You know what felt terrible? I benched him in 1 league for Rashid Shaheed with some slight return yard bonuses, and it felt terrible. I was ready to wake up this morning feeling terrible about it. Breece Hall catches 7 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown or something nonsense, but it's that Jets offense is dysfunctional right now, and that's for another show to dive into. If we get a breaking questions, maybe we do, but oh my goodness, it's just been disappointing. But
I have benched so many studs this week.
It's you can't.
Tyreek Hill,
Jalen Waddle,
Mark Andrews. They're just doing nothing. If they can't score, I don't want them in my lineup. Even if they go off, whoever I'm putting in is averaging more. You know what I mean? Like it's such a wild year.
Well, look, at tight end, as bad as it is, when Mark Andrews putting up 0, it's hard to not have anybody score more than that.
Yeah, right. A fumble on 1 catch for 2 yards would be slightly worse.
Oh goodness, what a world we live in, man. Dallas Goedert's still going to be the tight end 1 after this week, getting kind of by, guaranteed it. Fancy break.
Favorite thing is TJ Hawkinson can come back probably any time this year and just have 3 good games the rest of the season and probably be tight end 1.
Honestly, yeah, that's especially with how Minnesota's playing right now. So that'll be a very like this is what Minnesota's doing this all without they did lose Aaron Jones mid-game there, so that's something to watch out for. But
we've been expecting that though.
Yeah, that was kind of baked in as soon as he signed. Fancy breakout asking a defensive back question here. Staying with Quentin Lake this week over Jerome Baker and Julian Blackmon. I assume those are the 2 you're talking about there, and I would say confidently yes. Quentin Lake is at this point an auto start for me.
Yeah, must start.
I see you're nodding. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Not that Baker's not a bad choice either, but I'd stick with Lake.
All righty. So this was a follow-up to Mike's original question that he also has Dorian Williams. That was the Trevin Wallace and Terrell Bernard question. Would you play Dorian Williams over either of these guys? Obviously not over Terrell Bernard, I imagine, but Trevin, would you play both Bills linebackers or roll the dice on Trevin Wallace? I think I rolled the dice on Trevin Wallace, but I'm curious about you guys.
Ooh, I don't know. I think I'd roll with Williams, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me to start both Bills linebackers. They've
both
been productive. So if you want to hold on to Wallace, if you're as uncertain as me and Ricky here, that's fine. If you're more confident with Wallace, realistically, he's probably going to have a very solid game statistically. So,
Yeah, I don't mind playing both. I think this Texans Bills game is going to be very back and forth. If anything, I think the Texans outsnap the Bills on offense. Who I honestly that's kind of just a gut call. I don't have good enough reasoning to tell you guys that. But for Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard, we know those two are going to be the guys. They're going to stick with those guys. But I'm going to go Trevin Wallace and Terrell Bernard here, just because we've seen Dorian Williams be pulled in spots before. And if I'm wrong and this Bills defense is not on the field as much as I think they could be, then you're getting doubly screwed on that. It's the same thing the other way. If they're on the field more, then you get double bonuses. But that's just the risk you run of playing two on the same team and whether they get enough snaps to not eat into each other's workload. If your league has a decent boost for assisted tackles, I think that will be a bonus because you get a nice little stack if they get in and one together. But most leagues probably won't have that. So I'll go Trevin Wallace over Dorian Williams and play Terrell Bernard. You guys will rock the Bills duo. Another Trevin Wallace question in here from Summer. Good to see you. Trevin Wallace or Troy Reeder? Another highly efficient guy so far. What do you guys think? Which one?
I'm going to go Reeder with the Rams against the Packers. I think I've said my piece on Trevin Wallace that I'm just not a big fan this week, and Reeder's playing a high percentage of the snaps. He's been an efficient tackler to your point. I think I'd roll with Reeder. Not that he's a linebacker one necessarily. Neither one of these guys are, but between the two, I'm rolling with Reeder.
Shawn?
Yeah, I agree. We've seen what Reeder is, and he's efficient. And the Packers are a really good matchup. It's actually a really good game for all fantasy players involved, offense and defense. Yeah, with the uncertainties with Wallace, Reeder's the lock in here.
I'll also go Reeder here. He said 8+ tackles in all but 1 week, and that 1 week he had 7. So pretty happy to play Reeder there. He's got that built-in floor with a decent ceiling due to the workload and that efficiency we've talked about. So let's move on to another question here. This one from Pablo Aranda. If Al-Shaair does not play, who is the next man up on the Texans? What a fun question the Texans. Every this is such a fair question because the Texans linebacker room. I'll never forget how annoying it was to pick one last year.
Right.
Oh my goodness!
What a nightmare!
The worst.
We never knew. We probably don't know this year either.
Yeah, so that's the question though. Do we know this year if Azeez Al-Shaair sits, which I think he's going to play, based on what I've seen. They did activate Dylan Horton off the practice squad, so that is promoting a linebacker just in case.
Well, he's more of an edge though.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good context to have as well. So, oh yeah, I remember. What was he on the Raiders one time? Dylan Horton.
No, Dylan Horton was a Texan. He had what was
Texan.
Hot lymphoma.
Yes.
Lymphoma.
Yes,
That's right.
That's how I know the name. Okay.
And so so it's sort of like the Mechie situation where he's overcoming a cancer and basically his first game back from cancer. So it's exciting for him personally from that regard, something to celebrate overcoming cancer.
That's awesome for him.
But I'm with you, Michael. I think Al-Shaair does play. I don't think an illness will keep him from playing, but the correct answer would probably be Neville Hewitt. Christian Harris hasn't been activated from IR yet. If he would have been, then it would have been Toto, but Toto's in the lineup. There was a lot of noise about Jake Hansen in the preseason. That doesn't appear to be the case. So it looks like Neville Hewitt would be the person if Al-Shaair does not play.
Would you rather play Toto or would you rather play Hewitt? Neville Hewitt.
I'd still go with Toto. Hewitt's a journeyman. He'll get some stats. He'll play hard. He might even get you an extra tackle on special teams still probably, but I'd play Toto.
Shawn, what do you think?
If this is a really deep league, yeah, I'll throw Hewitt in there because he has popped off before back with the Jets, even though he is a journeyman. Dolphins, Jets, then the Texans. Yeah, he's had some solid games. But I do expect Shire to start here, who hasn't been very productive.
Yeah,
he has not been.
It's been a little bit underwhelming compared to what we've expected. We've seen a lot of. I think he set the bar very high based on what we were expecting, based on his efficiency in past years, and maybe that wasn't always set to translate. But I think the snaps and everything says that it should work out in the long run. He is very clearly the linebacker one in Houston, so there is that plus side.
Hey,
Ricky?
gentlemen, some inactives are starting to come out, and so
Ooh,
for the Bills, Taylor Rapp is out, Ed Oliver is out, and Teron Johnson is also inactive, but it does not say that Terrell Bernard is inactive. So Bernard active, Teron Johnson inactive.
another
On
week
the
for Cam Ward.
on the Patriots side of things, both Kyle Duggar and Peppers are inactive. So both starting safeties for the Patriots are out. Does that give you faith in the Dolphins offense a little bit more? Maybe.
Shawn?
But
Have y'all seen the Dolphins play? It's bad out there.
But an interesting, well, a couple of things. So that means Cam Lewis is safe to play for the Bills.
Cam Lewis.
And-
Cam Lewis.
Yeah. And Marte Mapu, the rookie draft pick from last year, who got activated from injured reserve, may surprisingly get the Duggar snaps this year. So if you're in a deep league or looking to stash someone and you need safety help, Mapu might be worth the gamble.
I'm showing Alshire is healthy, so he is playing this week. So.
Good to know. On the offensive side of the ball, we got a couple of those inactives right there, and those actives. Let me just pull up that Mr. Rappaport tweet. Anthony Richardson is out. It will be Joe Flacco today, as expected. Brian Robinson will play for the Commanders. David Njoku will make his return, although I saw some reports yesterday that it might be a managed workload in his first game back from that high ankle injury. Damian Pierce is out for the Texans. So that means we have the dynamic backfield in Houston of Cam Akers and Dario Gumbawale, of which I think I'd rather play Dario Gumbawale. And Evan Ingram will be out another week, as we knew. I thought Ingram might be able to make his return this week because he practiced last week. He practiced this week, but nope, they're going to play it safe and get Ingram back in the future. So of those names so far, that's what we got. We know Jonathan Taylor is going to be out. So we got that locked in as well. Let's go over to Richard Malone here and keep these questions going, guys. We got another 20 plus minutes, so we got plenty of time to talk about your lineups, rest of season decisions, whatever we can do to help you guys win your leagues. That's what we're here to do. Richard Malone asking, good morning to you too. How do you guys feel about Polamalu? I don't know how to say this without saying Polamalu, but Polamalu, the Raiders fill-in for Marcus Epps, who is now out for the season, was incredibly productive last week. We know Trevon Moehrig is more of a deep safety type of guy. So what do you guys think about, it's Isaiah, right? Is his first name Isaiah Polamalu?
Yep.
Yeah, Isaiah Polamalu. Yeah. What do you guys think about him and whether he's playable today against the Broncos?
So he, I know you said he was extremely productive, but he had, I believe, 4 tackles and 2 assists. He happened to get the one big play associated with that, which jacked him up. So one thing I went to PFF just to see how he was utilized, and he was utilized deep about 68% of the snaps, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head.
Ew.
And so, which isn't necessarily good. So outside of the big play that he had, his stats really weren't that great. And it's not like Epps was being drafted as a top 36 defensive back or safety on top of that this year. So would I play him? Yeah, because I think he'll get 99% of the snaps or so, 95% of the snaps. But my expectations are tempered.
Let me add an extra detail here because it ties in well with Rafael Polito's question here about our thoughts on Tommy Eichenberg. Because the injuries at linebacker this week, it's Robert Spillane and rookie Tommy Eichenberg making his first, I think it's his first active game. He's been a healthy scratch in most games with Devon Diablo and Luke Masterson out. So do you think that the big question marks at linebacker 2 could open up more box snaps for Polamalu? Or do you think that's kind of 2 separate situations not to be compared, Shawn?
Wow. I think it's going to come down to how many snaps they're actually going to get.
Good point.
Who are they playing?
Denver, which, I mean, that could be both ends of the spectrum. They can run the slowest offense no demand, or they can get 3 and out for the entire game. And honestly, with the way this Raiders defense is lined up with the injuries they had, Max Crosby should be back, but we know Malcolm Kuntz, the injuries at linebacker. Overall, not a good unit. Could go either way. So,
is there a prop bet on punts in that game? Like I'll take the over if it's 18.
I'll get the over under for you in a second because I'm curious too. I'm gonna guess like 36.5 is gonna be my guess.
That's probably a
Shawn,
good
what
bet.
do you think about this situation?
I'm actually starting to pull them out, and it's in a very deep league. It's IDP only. We can start, I think, up to 4 safeties. 12-man league. So he's on my starting lineup this week, but that's the only league I have him actually starting in. I think I've picked him up in 1 or 2 others, but he's sitting on the bench just because I am a bit uncertain. I'm not fully confident in what he can do week to week. Ricky said that big play is really what topped him over on the points. So anytime somebody does come in like this, I will pick him up, set him on my bench, and just kind of wait and see how it goes. Now, if he had popped off 10 tackles last week, then he's definitely starting in more leagues. So I do feel he's probably worth rostering if your league is deep enough, but I'm not sure I'm starting him in all leagues just yet.
Now, obviously, we're not watching this game that's happening right now in London, but Grant just pointed out, and it looks like Ricky's got on another monitor. Rodgers is down. Aaron Rodgers is down, and it does not look good. Ricky?
It looked horrible, but he's actually walking off very gingerly right now. But it may not be as bad as it originally looked. I mean, they showed his face, and he was like, "Ow!"
He did come in with that injury as well. You know, yep. he dealt with that ankle injury last week. You also have that issue of, and I was curious, I didn't see many people talking about it, but whenever you fly with an injury, it always seems to exasperate it a little bit, which I don't know if that's an issue. I don't know if we'll see reports about that after the game, but London flight, London situation, always uneasy, grabbing the back of his left leg there.
By the way, I deserve an Academy Award for that Aaron Rodgers impression.
It was really good.
I was in the green color too as well.
Like I didn't want to say anything so it would go straight to your head, but it was really good. Like
hair color's the same. Yeah, nailed it.
Okay. You could have stayed away from the hair color.
That was a good one. That's a good tone.
That was good.
So I do want to spend some time about Rafael Polito's specific question about Tommy Eichenberg. Because it's funny because my comp for him before the draft was Robert Spillane. He is such a hard-nosed, thumping linebacker with a lot of experience. He's got his limitations for sure, but I have him on the tackle squads in a few leagues, and I don't think he's going to work well with Spillane because they do not complement each other well.
Right.
But he is pretty much the last man standing there, and they brought him in. So, Shawn, what do you think? Do you think Tommy Eichenberg could be worth a start this week against the Broncos? I do think they're going to give Javonte Williams a healthy workload, but it's certainly a over-under was 36, by the way. I guess 36.5. I gave them an extra half point. It's in 36 over-under in this game.
Wow, that's like 20-17 would be just
a 2.5 point favorite. So yeah, it's about about that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
that's a barn burner.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, with the Eichenberg situation, Spillane being there, I think Spillane just eats up all the tackles anyway. Because he pretty much made Divine Diablo useless if you had him, and we were real high on him a couple of years ago. I think Spillane's just a tackle machine that's going to limit Eichenberg here, and we'll probably see him coming off in passing situations anyway. I'm not starting this week.
Yeah,
I'd like to hold and wait as well. Grant pointing in here, I'm sure Ricky's about to say it as well, that Aaron Rodgers is back in and running. Is he on the field or is he running on the sideline?
Yeah, no, he's on the field. He actually just handed it off to Breece Hall.
Running out of the stadium.
Dodge the bullets like that.
He's trying to be a Willis Reed, drama queen, whatever.
No.
But hey, the only thing on Eichenberg, and by the way, once again, I actually agree with Shawn, crazy. There's a reason he won the 5th round and not in the 3rd round or the 2nd round or the 4th round. Great run thumper, very, very limited in coverage, great college player, but I just manage expectations. Now, if he filled the Spillane role where he might end up playing 95% of the snaps, I could see something there, but not in this secondary role right now.
I am seeing a tweet from Mike Garofalo saying that Aaron Rodgers was heading into the 10, but once there was a roughing on the kicker on the Vikings that put the Jets offense back on the field, and that's why Aaron Rodgers is there. So I don't think this is him out of the woods by any stretch, especially if he's handing the ball off. Ricky, has he attempted to pass yet? Do you know?
I haven't been able to watch it all.
Yeah, but you're focusing on the stream. That's what you're supposed to be doing. All good. So we'll get updates on that as we go in. Maybe Grant can hit us up about whether he's actually passing or if he's just handing the ball off, because two very different things when it comes to the offenses going out there. We know the control freak that Aaron Rodgers is with his drives. So Richard Malone asking Zaire Franklin or Dorian Williams today. I'm still going to line up Zaire Franklin.
Absolutely.
Anyone going to go Dorian?
Nope. I'm checking the Jags inactives. Devin Lloyd is not inactive. So the question earlier about Ventrell Miller, I'm certainly Ventrell Miller's down the list for sure.
Yeah, I still think you'll get a healthy workload. I don't think that team is convinced on Devin Lloyd yet, but I agree that I don't want to play any of them right now. Grant also giving us the update. He ran back on the field. He handed off 2 and grabbed a pass. So for now, I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully that's all it is. Another question from Richard Malone here. Starting Devon Witherspoon or Polamalu? So, I allow me to indulge with a quick story real quick.
Please.
I had two bets last week in the Seattle game. Devon
That's
Witherspoon
it?
Well, I had a few, but I had 3 and 1 hit, and then these other 2. Devon Witherspoon over 3.5 solo tackles. That was the prop. He had 3 in the 3rd quarter. He had 2 after the first drive. Went to overtime, as we all know, and he still couldn't hit it.
Weird how that happens, right?
You know why? Because we all remember the viral clip of Kenneth Walker, of Dave Montgomery throwing that guy to the ground. That guy was David Witherspoon. Remember the one where
and he didn't get credit for a tackle on that one?
Touchdown? Yeah, that was Devin Witherspoon chasing after him.
That was a great WWE. That was a great WWE move. I was impressed. There's like a little suplex action and a rollover, and didn't get the man pinned.
Yes. But if I'm doing all things equal, Witherspoon against the Giants, Polamalu against the Broncos, I'll probably go Witherspoon. But what do you guys think?
I'm starting my safety over my corner this week.
Yeah, well, you're the Polamalu guy as well.
Yeah,
of the 3 of us right now. What do you think, Ricky?
I'm with Shawn again. I'm going to go safety over cornerback, even though Witherspoon plays a little bit more of the slot. I just don't think the Giants are going to be on the field that much. Now, okay, here's the one thing I'd say, Richard. If in your scoring system you get points for big plays, mark it down. Witherspoon will get a sack of Daniel Jones this week. If there's a prop bet out there for it, I didn't check, but I'm betting on that. Now, that's only 1 tackle, so depending on your scoring system. But if you get a big points for sacks, count Witherspoon for 1 and put him in. Otherwise, if it's all about the same and all, then play the safety, Troy's cousin.
Yep. Which also means if he gets a sack, maybe it's a fumble on Daniel Jones as well. So we'll see. But Grant asking him.
By the way, Al Sayer is active. As a side note.
Go.
Devin Lloyd is as well.
There we go.
For those that were paying attention earlier, that was mentioned, Shawn, but thank you for reiterating that.
I was going to let that go. Hey.
I can't let it go with Shawn.
Yeah. I know you.
Already said
he made fun of my old gray hair, and then he's repeating what I said.
Just so much hostility from you two today.
You sound like my grandfather repeating.
It's good because I feel you guys were getting too chummy over the last few weeks. So it's good to see we're back with blood in the water here.
There we go.
I've had enough of that.
Grant asking, would you play Amari Cooper or Michael Pittman? They're both going to be great this week in the matchups they have. You have a juicy one against Washington, and I love Pittman with Joe Flacco. I probably pay Pittman with Joe Flacco because I can't get over that plus the matchup. And Amari Cooper still has Deshaun Watson, and there's always that factor. But I think both are going to be top 15 plays this week. But what do you think, Ricky?
I don't disagree with you. I think they're both great plays this week. And I know Grant, being a Browns homer, wants to put Cooper in there, but I would lean Pittman on this one as well. But I'd also be asking the question: is there anybody else you can flip out to put in these guys? I mean, if you're playing like, I don't know, Tyreek Hill or Waddle or somebody like that, I'm taking those guys out for Cooper in that case, or even like an Ayuk right now.
Oh yeah, I would play both these guys over Ayuk this week. Shawn, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that. If there's a way to get them both in the starting lineup, I do favor Pittman more, just because, like you said, Michael, Joe Flacco being in there really changes things because he was doing nothing until last week, which Richardson was a part of that. But yeah, Flacco is the guy that's going to really turn Pittman loose.
Yep. Completely agree, and it's nice. And now we go to a not nice question from Richard Malone here. Is it time to give up on Mark Andrews?
Yes.
It's time to. It's 100%. It's been past time to bench him. I'm not ready to cut him yet. I've started seeing it. I've started getting the notifications.
Why?
Player Team X has dropped Mark Andrews, tight end, Baltimore, for someone. I started getting those. I need another week.
I dropped Kyle Pitts last week, and then he went off. But I don't care because he's probably going off just for this game. He's probably always going to go off, and he's going to go back to nothing. That's my hope.
So for my namesake, Richard Malone, I did drop him in a guillotine league for Eric All. So what that means is, similar to the Pitts comment that Shawn just made, he will go off this week, and then he would tease you the rest of the time. So, and the Bengals have not been great against tight ends this year. So I wouldn't drop him. I'd probably put him on my bench. But this to me, this is the make or break week 5. But I dropped him. He's bound to have a good week, Richard. So don't drop him quite yet. Just put him on the bench.
There was a tweet from Ash after this morning, which I missed, so I'm going to say it now. Cooper Kupp will obviously be out this week with his high ankle sprain, but after the bye next week, they're hoping to have him back and expecting to have him back, barring setbacks, for week 7 on October 20th against the Raiders. So a very juicy return opportunity for Cooper Kupp if and when he gets back on the field, God willing. We got another one in here from Rafael Polito, which love these questions, Rafael. It's never too many, and especially when it comes to Nick Herbig, who I am still confidently playing. We lost a few snaps with him last week when he left the game and then he came back in. It was not what we hoped for, but it was also not the greatest matchup. Indy's been pretty stout in terms of protecting the passer. So I'll go. I'm happy to run him back again. His other option is Owe Adafe in this Ravens matchup against the Bengals, which not bad. This Bengals offensive line has looked really underwhelming, especially on the ends. But I'm still going to go Nick Herbig. I think Dak Prescott's dropping back to pass 50 times in this game, and that just leaves so much opportunity for Herbig. What do you think, Ricky?
I'm agreeing with you. Actually, boy, I like Odafe a lot, but the Herbig matchup going against Tyler Guyton, the left tackle, the rookie, who's had his moments, both good and bad, and I think Herbig will beat him once for a sack of Dak. There's me being a poet again. Didn't know it. But yeah, so I'm doing Herbig over Odafe, but it's pretty darn close, actually.
What do you think?
Shawn's going to disagree with me, I think, on this.
I want to, but as good as Owe has been, it's been Van Noy who's still in all the sacks here, or who's really been going up.
Is one of the most underrated players of like the last 5-10 years. He always gets you 6 to 8 sacks on a season. It's always 5 to 8. He's just so everywhere he's been. He's on like 20 teams. Sorry, not to interrupt you, Shawn.
I agree with all that. He's always, and the Ravens always have a veteran that comes in and does this. No matter how many times we're trying to get Owe turned loose and be the star that we all hope he is. They keep giving us Van Noyes or Houston's and
Jadavian
Dumervilles and
Clowney.
I got one more
Cloudy.
for you. They signed Ngakoue to the practice squad a couple of
Oh
weeks
my
ago,
God,
and
here
they
we
el-
go.
and they
seen that.
elevated him. They elevated him. Is he going to become this year's Jadavian Clowney or a pair with Van Noy? I don't know.
No, he
So-
will steal snaps, but I refuse. I am so that's another person I am so done with. I thought
He's all or nothing.
he had something special when he was on the Jaguars, and he has just been a colossal flop ever since his good years in Jacksonville. So very sad. But I think both are very good options this week. I'm curious to see if you had someone that you were like, I would play both these guys over Danielle Hunter. Is that a bold take?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the right
So-
thing.
Yeah, so that's the question. You might have someone you consider an auto starter because the draft capital you spent on them and the talent we know they have. But if it's a bad matchup and they're underwhelming,
You starting Odafe over Russo?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm the Russo guy, but again, he needs a slap on the wrist.
This
He
has
needs to
been
think about what he's done.
the craziest year, and we're at week 5, and there aren't very many must starts anymore. Like either side of the ball, there are so many studs not performing. We're in such a weird spot.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, a topic about studs, although they are performing, Grant giving us that other option there. You already had Drake London play with giving him a nice little Thursday night lead right there. But you got Amari Cooper, Chris Olave, and Michael Pittman. Which two would you take?
Olave is going to the bench. Sorry. Even as my Saints fan against the Chiefs' stout defense, I'd much rather play the other two. And Carr's had a little bit of a return to normalcy the past couple of weeks. So I'm putting them both in over Olave.
It's close for me with Amari Cooper. I'll play Pittman over Olave, but I think I still play Olave over Cooper. As much as I love the matchup, I know that Amari Cooper has not played well this year. That is also a fact. He has his numbers are down. His yards per run is at a low of years. So I'm a little bit worried about Amari Cooper, but this is also an awesome opportunity for him to boost his trade capital for a move next week. So he has every incentive to have a baller week against a Washington defense that hasn't been able to stop Swiss cheese from being Swiss. I don't know, but I'll still go with Olave and Pittman personally. No issues if you go Cooper.
Shawn, tiebreaker?
It's Pittman and Cooper for me. That matchup against Washington is too good to pass up. I do think Cooper gets a touchdown, maybe 2, but that's more wishful hoping. I think Olave is good for a handful of receptions.
Let me add another variable to this this Colts situation. As I'm seeing right now, it is a downpour. Right now, the rainjacks are being broken out in Jacksonville. So this Colts game, Jacksonville game, do we worry about Michael Pittman, who is a little bit more of a downfield guy, when you have someone like Josh Downs, who we know is very reliable in the slot, gets those quick passes? They like to do that to him. Do we have any worry about how that might impact Michael Pittman, at least in the fact of 3 great options in Cooper, Olave, and Pittman? I still think I trust him. I'm not going to let the weather sway me too much, but it is raining down there.
It always rains in Florida. It depends on how long it's going to rain, I guess. If it's going to be just a downpour all game long, I'm a little more concerned. But if it's just a normal shower that comes through, bottoms out, 30 minutes later it's gone, then not so much.
I mean, Joe Flacco in his career has probably played a game or 2 in the rain.
1 or 2, probably. Yeah.
And even are the cold, so I'm not too concerned unless we're talking about flood space kind of rain. I think I'm fine. And you could argue too that sometimes in the rain it's better for the receivers versus the cornerbacks too. Not that they needed much of an advantage with the Jacksonville secondary, or vice versa.
It'll be an interesting matchup because this Colts defense is also really banged up. Just to throw a few more inactives out there as we head to the top of the hour here. Obviously, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, we know, but they're also without Kwity Paye. Kenny Moore's missing another week with a hip injury. Abukum's been out, obviously, with the Achilles. Taekwon Lewis went in the IR last week, who has been pretty good for them. DeForest Buckner, their star defensive tackle, has been out. Juju Brents is also out with that knee injury. So this team, this cold.
Did you mention Ebicom being on IR also?
I did. Sean, that's your chance to now.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. Wow. Let it go. We're running out of time.
That happens with the hearing. Am I right, Rick? Am I right, Sean?
What's that? Huh?
What?
What?
I didn't mean it, Ricky. But nothing. We are delinquent. Oh my goodness.
Well, we got one that just popped in before
we did from Fantasy Sports here, and it'll be our last one as we hit the top of the hour. Awesome to see these questions. Thank you all for sending them in. We don't do anything here. We just joke around if we don't get these questions. So I really appreciate all of them coming in. Picking one safety between Kyle Hamilton and Julian Blackmon. It might be one of those situations of what we just talked about. If we're worried about the rain and the downfield passing attack, that does not bode well for Julian Blackmon, although he did play a little bit closer to the line last week after not doing so through the first three. Ricky, what do you think?
Cross still played more closer to the line and all. This is one, and Hamilton, they started using him a little bit differently against the Cincinnati offense. I expect Hamilton to be deployed more like he was last year. And so I'm going Hamilton on this one.
Sean?
Yeah, I think I'm with Ricky here. Hamilton, division rival. I think he has a good game this week.
I'll also go Hamilton. I know it's been disappointing, but it's between two options I don't feel great about. I'm always going to choose the guy that I know is an infinitely better player, and also one that has a lot more versatility to his game. So we got a couple more questions in here from Fantasy Sports, and we're happy to help out. We'll do these real quick. Picking two linebackers, Tyrell Dodson, Zaire Franklin, David Long, or Cody Barden. I think Dodson and Franklin are probably our picks here.
Yeah, I think he's got him in the order the way I would rank him this week.
Yeah, same with me. Exactly what I was saying last week with Cody Barden. I thought Cody Barden would have a solid week 4, and then beyond that, we'll see what happens because I don't think they're very happy with that linebacker room at all. Fantasy Sports. Another question in here, final one, and we appreciate you throwing them in. I genuinely mean that. We just love having more things to talk about fantasy football wise. Last pick 2 in PPR league. Would you pick JSN, Dontayvion Wicks, or Trey Sermon? That is a good one. That's a good one to end it on because I like all three of them this week. I think Dontayvion Wicks is a must-start to me.
This is so easy for me. There's no way I'm playing Sermon over those two. Not even close.
In PPR, that's probably where I lean as well. Because I know Trey Sermon's probably not going to catch the pass. They'll catch the ball much.
Look, I picked
ground and pound game.
I picked up Sermon in a couple of leagues and ground and pound with someone like, okay, let's remember, 49ers cut him loose. Eagles cut him loose. Coach picked him up. Everybody said the coach should have picked up the number 2. This is going to be let's see. Hang on, crystal ball.
15 for 41.
That's a little bit more generous than I was going. I was going more like 13 for 37, Sean.
It's not bad.
So something like
8
that.
8 touchdowns.
And 1 catch for 4 yards. He may trip and fall in the end zone and get lucky, but there's no way I'm playing him over the other 2 in PPR.
I'm locking in Wicks personally. I like JSN. I know he's a very solid PPR option. Drew Phillips and Dory Jackson should be back this week for the Giants. Drew Phillips being the only capable cornerback on that team, and he does man the slot. And I don't think the Giants are going to be, doing anything on offense. So this is going to be a very negative game script for JSN. So if he does his damage in the first half, yippee, but I don't think he's doing much in the second. So I'm going to go Wicks and Sermon. I think Sermon gets a heavy workload today. I am not buying we're doing running back by committee nonsense because they haven't done that ever. They did it last year where they just gave one guy the ball, and they did this year. They give just one guy the ball. Tyler Goodson might get a few passing downs, but in this, if we're worried at all about the rain happening in Jacksonville right now, we're going to see 20 carries for Trey Sermon, and I think that's going to equate to enough value that he's going to make up for whatever catches JSN will get, and I think he has much higher touchdown upside. What do you think, Shawn?
I think that was a great argument. Game script for JSN, could be negative. I mean that's a fair argument. It really is. Wicks for sure is the lock in here. Dobbs is suspended or whatever's going on there.
What the hell is he doing?
Yeah, Watson's injured, so I still think Jaden Reed's the guy, but Wicks should get a score or something here as well. Man, I'm still gonna lean JSN here because I do think.
Good answer,
I do
Shawn.
think he's going to get, a bomb or cat 2 here. It's going to be close. He's going to outscore Sermon by 0.8 points.
That'll be
Michael,
a fun one to go back to.
Yeah,
Because
we'll have to talk about this one next week, Michael. But you need to have your 2 cups of coffee. If you had your 2 cups of
I
coffee,
do.
you would be seeing the light like Shawn and I are seeing on this one.
I got the mug, and I've got this, but it's not exactly the same this early in the morning, But aside from those jokes, and that was a very good one to end it on, Fantasy Sports. So I appreciate you tuning in. We do these streams every single Sunday, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. What are we talking about there? 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. West. Oh my God!
West Central,
Western time. Aside from my inability to tell time zones, thank you all for tuning in. It's awesome to get all these questions. Like I said before, we do nothing here except tell jokes unless we get your questions, and then we're able to help out. And hopefully, we did just that today. Ricky and Shawn, any final remarks for our wonderful viewers out there?
IDP Plus, folks, we've got some great stuff. We've got some great tools. We also, in addition to this YouTube channel we have for fantasy football, we have a YouTube channel now for betting and all, which is really taking off. And the reason it's taking off is because our recommendations have been so good and people are winning money, and so more and more people are joining. So check that out as well. And but check out our website and subscribe. We've got some great content from a lot of people smarter than me.
Shawn, any final remarks?
Devin Lloyd is active. As my co-host Ricky Rodrigue said.
This guy.
And Ebicom is on the IR. That we've established that as well.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Right,
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck to your Week 5 matchups, everybody. And I'll second what Ricky said. I'm personally 6-1 or 5-1 on my IDP bet so far. Those I post on Twitter, but the explanations and the everything else I talk about in our Discord sports betting channels. And like Ricky said, we got our own sports betting shows. There's a ton of things that we're able to bring at IDP Plus in addition to our tools, our articles, everything that really is just a fun time to be a part of, as well as just winning your fantasy leagues. Always good to gloat over your teammates. One last one here from TS. Akers or Sermon, Wandale, or a little bit too late for Wandale. But let's go with Akers or Sermon. I will go Sermon with confidence. You will go Sermon without confidence, I imagine.
Yeah, I'll take Sermon on this one easily.
Sorry, not too late for Wandale. I was mixing up with the Jets. Wandale or JSN. JSN for me, even though I'm sure Wandale will catch 17 balls for 17 yards.
PPR, I think Wandale gets this one in PPR.
Really?
Wandale,
okay.
Yeah.
Wandale's going to have about a 35% target share this week, and he'll end up with 9 catches for 43 yards. So,
yeah, that could beat out Jason.
Yeah. And the only other question, TS, I assume he has to have one in the running back spot and one in the wide receiver spot, but I'd play Wandale and JSN over both the running backs if possible. This is Akers week. Can you tell how down I am? I am so down on Sermon. Absolutely. Akers is going to run on the Jags, and it's going to set up the pass for Pittman.
Did you rewind the clock with the time machine?
So TS, apparently I am outvoted on the Sermon, but
it's
you heard it here. Just saying.
Wally show in Houston.
The Dargan Wally show. That's I 100% agree with that. And it's more of a Sermon. It's more of a Akers detriment for me than a Sermon plus, but that's where I would lean there.
I wish you had better options, TS, to be honest with you, but we got it.
That's football for you. But thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate the questions here. Be sure to follow IDP Plus at IDP Plus on Twitter. Where you can follow Ricky here at Ricky Rod66. You obviously follow Shawn here at Shawn8386 on Twitter. You can follow myself at Michael __ Sicoli. I don't think that will change anything for TS. 5 starters out of I'm guessing that means
that's why he's desperate, is in other words. Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, 5 stars out. Yeah. Makes sense right there. So either way, be sure to subscribe to IDP Plus. Again, all those tools, all the Discord, all the discussions that we're able to have that aren't just limited to these hour segments, so that we can help you with trades, help with pickups, help with fab allotments, literally everything you could possibly need. We're here to help and talk about in our Discord channels. And obviously we have our tools, we have our articles, a ton of great stuff to check out at IDP Plus. Final question as we go out. Stephen Smith, start 2 out of these guys: Alshire, Jermaine Pratt, Kazir White, and Alshire. Hands up.
I'm gonna go White and Pratt.
White and Pratt.
Crazy man. Oh my goodness.
Henry.
Yeah.
All day.
But
Yeah, absolutely. White and Pratt.
But
Stephen, I don't know if you joined late, but Michael didn't have his coffee. He's been drinking alcohol. So Pratt and White.
What is this? What is this slander? Oh, blasphemous behavior. You know what?
Also,
for myself and Shawn,
yeah.
not this guy in the top left. Good luck to your week 5 matchups, and I apologize to anyone who follows Ricky's advice. This guy, God. Anyway, good luck to your week 5 matchups, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you next week here at IDP Plus. Have a good day. Stay healthy.